Hello, my name is 𝕥𝕙𝕣𝕖 with 𝕥𝕙𝕣𝕖 Consulting. I'm going to talk today about building a winning team by defining the season. In 25 years of being part of teams and leading teams, one of the things I found is that people never knew when things began or stopped, which is why defining the season becomes so important. In all areas of an organization, there are things that divide up the work in a seasonal type of way. Beginning my career in local government, the season was measured in a 35 year career. And there's no way that you can maintain the same level over a 35-year career. And so asking people to perform actually created a flat performance or a less than performance level because they didn't know what the season was. They were just working for 30 years. So in defining what your season is, as an example, if you're in finance and you're going to do the organization's budget, you have a process that you go through to do that, and that would be budget season. And I've heard that my whole career from the finance team members is, okay, we're going into budget season. That defines your season. So now you have certain tasks that go within that season. And especially for the specific team members who are having to deal with the budget and put it together and work with everyone else to create it, that is a big focus of their annual work plan. So defining that is important, and creating a beginning and a middle and an end. And as I've said in most of my things, I like sports and I like sports analogies. And to me, if you look at almost every sports season, they have a beginning and they do a preseason. Halfway through the year, they have the all-star break or an all-star game. And that is totally appropriate to have that little break, let your team kind of reset itself and then focus on towards the finish. But doing a full year is not sustainable for everyone. You also need to give them downtime. Now everyone takes vacations and you have routine things that need to be done all year, and I totally understand that. But when you're trying to define what you're doing for each individual and what you're doing for their part of the team, it's so important to have a beginning, middle, and end. And then you can use your measurements for that. But they can also create downtime. Athletes, when they're not in their season, they're training, they're rehabbing, they're training. Not any different for your workplace. People need to train, they need to rest, they need to, especially for those of you who have teams that are in the field, physically they need to rest. Mentally, most people who aren't in the field really need to have that mental break, those rests. And I'm not just talking about vacation, I'm talking about being able to be in the workplace and do things that are less stressful and provide a little bit of downtime. In the end, that equates to a shorter season than a year, but much more productivity during that season. And if you focus on allocating your team to really pushing during those season times and pushing a little less, you'll find that overall their quality goes up and they become a winning team by knowing what the season is when it begins and when it ends. Building winning teams by defining and celebrating roles. So defining roles for each team member starts with a job description. It starts with what the job they were hired to do. But one of the things that is a premise for everything that we do at 𝕥𝕙𝕣𝕖 is that everyone has gifts, skills, and passions. Gifts things that they know how to do and they don't know why. Skills, things that they've learned that they do well. And then the passion to fulfill their personal vision and their personal purpose, as well as to accomplish specific things. All of those things come into play when you're defining a role. And I think it has to be that way. And always believe that each job is created around the person who has it today. And so that allows you to start building teams and looking at the team and looking at where everyone interconnects and with their gifts, skills, and passions and how their jobs interconnect. And pretty soon you will find that creates a success. One of the things is it also helps you define what's missing. What are the things that are lacking in our team? Now, sometimes they're there. Members of the team have those things. They just haven't been asked to do them. And you hadn't identified that you needed them. So that's the first place you look. But that's how you also can start choosing other people to come in to join the team if you're adding to the team or you're replacing someone who has left. Identify what all those things are, and then you identify what those gaps are, and you try to replace them the best that you can. The second part of this is celebrating roles. Once everyone has a role, one of the things that is common in a difficult workplace and on losing teams is people feel higher or lower on the scale based on what their role is. And that does not happen in a winning team. Everyone on a winning team knows that in order to win, everyone has to participate and their role has to be celebrated. And that is ultimately the measurement. That is how things really come together as winning teams, is that you celebrate when your teammate has a success. And you do so because you know they're fulfilling a role that you don't or can't, and possibly both. And so having a celebration of everyone's role starts with the leader, but when you really get going as a team, everyone starts celebrating each other. And that is how winning teams are put together and built. Building winning teams by debriefing constantly. Over 25 years of being part of and building teams, one thing I've noticed is that the successful teams debrief constantly. They are always looking at what can improve. One of the most important things is to create a culture of constant improvement. And there are a number of ways to do that. I have a process I use, and I call it the improvement cycle. First part of the improvement cycle is that you plan the work. You plan what you're going to do, and then you schedule the work, and then you move to completing the work. Usually that's where it stops. That's where we stop debriefing. And then what I believe is the next step is you report. So you're reporting out what you do. You need to talk about what you do. The people who are listening, watching, customers, management, leadership are all wanting to know what's happening. And then comes debrief. And then once the debrief is done, you then start the cycle all over again. I believe you do it with every activity, especially at the beginning. You do it with every little detail, every little project you do as an individual or a team, and start running through that cycle all the time. What you do as you're debriefing, though, the debrief process only consists of 3 questions. What did we do well? And you want to keep doing that. What did we need to improve on? And then what are we going to do different next time? That's it. Do it each time, every time you do an activity. At the beginning, it's very important that you write it down. You write down so you get used to the cycle. Eventually, when you're doing pieces of debrief, you will not need to write it down necessarily. Big projects, yes. Smaller details, no. Again, constantly doing this is successful teams do this naturally, and it becomes a natural part of everything they do. It's not in addition to their work, it becomes part of their work. So again, plan, schedule, complete, report, and debrief. I'm Glenn 𝕥𝕙𝕖𝕖 with 𝕥𝕙𝕖 Consulting, and you can find us on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and at 𝕥𝕙𝕖𝕖.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll have more videos coming about team building in the near future. Thank you.